Welcome to another MechSpecs.com video presentation. In this tutorial, we will be discussing Light Mech Combat, the philosophies of Light Mech Combat, and tactics utilized by successful Light Mech pilots. Some of you already know this stuff, so it should come as no surprise, but for those of you who are just stepping into Light Mechs for the first time, or have always wanted to try them but aren't sure how best to pilot them, this guide is for you. The philosophy behind Light Mechs is simple. Light Mechs are, well, light. They aren't designed to carry the biggest weapons or the most armor. They are built for speed. To get in quick and get out just as quick. Speed is life. Those are the three most important words you need to learn. Speed is life. One of the first mistakes I see newer light pilots make is when they believe they can mix it up and go head to head with their big brothers. This is a sure way to commit mech suicide, as any competent heavy pilot will obliterate you with a single alpha strike. Take a look at this commando getting his ass handed to him.
Left arm critical damage. Left arm destroyed.
Now, equipment on a light mech is very important. Equipment is important on any mech, but it's crucial on a light mech because you don't have a lot of space to work with, even if you totally strip down a light mech. A light mech can carry as many different flavors of weaponry as there are weapons in the game. Some mech pilots prefer SSRM style weapons, like the Commando, while some prefer beam weapons, like the Jenner. Some carry a combination of both. The important thing to remember is that you need to carry weaponry that suits your preferred style of play. For instance, don't put small lasers on a mech if you aren't capable of getting in close, and don't put large, long-range weaponry if you aren't able to track enemy mechs while they move laterally across your field of fire. My advice is don't pack on the largest weapons you can. Pack on the weapons where you can maintain an above average rate of fire and dish out sustained damage. Whether you like missiles, lasers, ballistics, whatever, the same principle applies. During the demonstrations in this tutorial, we will be utilizing a Jenner JR7F with 6 medium lasers as it provides a good mid-range point to illustrate the philosophies in this guide. Armor placement is also very important in a mech. Light mechs don't get to carry 12 tons of armor on them. In fact, most light mechs carry half of what their big brothers do. So, when you do have a little bit of armor, you need to put it where it will do the most good. Again, this depends on the combat style you utilize and what suits your general play style best. For me, for my armor, I tend to go with the 75-25 philosophy. I try and put as much armor in the front as I can because I keep my front facing the enemy. I always make sure I protect areas of import too. For instance, my arms. My weapons are in both my arms. I've got 3 medium lasers in each one. If I lose one of those arms, I lose half my firepower. So I make sure they have almost max armor. Legging isn't as common as it once was, so I tend to shave a little bit of my armor off my legs. Some mechs I have max armor, some mechs I don't have max armor, but if you're on a fast light mech and your speed's up over 100 kilometers an hour, you can really take some of that armor and put it elsewhere because not every pilot can hit you at full speed in your legs. Now, the law according to Grimm holds that there are 4 distinctly different styles of successful light mech combat. There's the Circle of Death, the Jousting match, guerrilla warfare, and the camper. Now, the Circle of Death is a style of combat where pilots circle each other and simply slug it out until one falls. For light mechs, the Circle of Death is essentially when a light mech runs circles around a larger opponent and unloads its firepower as soon as weapon cycle times allow. An example would be a Jenner versus an Atlas. The Circle of Death works well when there is more than one friendly mech working over a heavy or assault enemy, whether in tandem or as part of a larger group. The reason for this is that while you are focused on that single larger machine, he has to split his focus and attention between multiple opponents. It's a wolf pack principle. In fact, the more opponents the enemy has, the less likely he is to focus in on you. Most heavy assault pilots will prioritize their targets according to weight class. Often that mentality can be fatal. Light mechs, when left unchecked, are deadly, even against the mighty 100-ton machines. In the Circle of Death illustration, you'll see your enemy mech there in the center in red. Your mech is in yellow. The circle is the area around your mech that you're going to be following. Now you'll notice half the circle is red and half the circle is green. The red portion of the circle is a danger zone. That's easily within your enemy's field of fire. You want to avoid that unless you have distractions, and you'll see that you have 1, 2, 3 friendly mechs who are helping pound on one assault mech or whoever your enemy is. Now the rear field of fire is green because unless you're a catapult or you have a really big torso twist range, your chances are that you're pretty safe back here. So you can circle of death, you can hang back, whatever it is that you want to do, it works. Now check out this video footage of this particular tactic in use. Now, because the circle of death is so difficult to emulate perfectly during a live combat drop, we're going to utilize the testing grounds for this. So, as you can see, target Bravo is an Atlas, and we would normally come in on an approach vector, which he wouldn't be expecting. He's currently paying attention to my lance mates, so we'll blast him once in the CT and just get in nice and tight around him. And we would just continue to fire wherever there was openings, keeping an eye open on our heat. And when the heat or opportunity presents itself, we alpha strike as much as we can. Now, he'd be moving forward or sideways or whatever with his torso twisting and focusing on our buddies. And all the while he's focusing on the heavier mechs, we are utilizing this to get to his weak points. And in just a couple of alpha strikes, we took him out. That's the circle of death. Easy peasy. Next we have the jousting match. The jousting is another style of mech combat. When you joust an opponent, you utilize an angle of attack in accordance with the enemy you are facing. If you are dealing with a heavy or assault mech, then you use the right or left flanks and cross from one side of the enemy mech to the other, usually on a more behind arc. Then you quickly circle back behind the enemy with a hard right or left hand turn, keeping out of his field of fire. If you are facing another light or medium mech, this isn't as crucial because the opposing force has weaponry and armor similar to your own and shouldn't obliterate you in a single alpha. It is extremely important to plan your route of egress ahead of time. This should go without saying, but I'll say it anyways. It is never, ever, ever a good idea to utilize an approach starting at the rear of your enemy and then moving forward, as this will put you right into his field of fire, exposing your rear armor to attack. As you notice, the enemy again is in the center, and he's got his little circle that shows the field of fire in the front and the green zone in the back. Now you'll notice that your mech moves from left across the right flank in behind the enemy, and then you take a sharp turn at a 45-degree angle and come back across the transversal axis. This kind of keeps the enemy mech from being able to fire on you. Now check out this video footage of the jousting tactic in use. Here you'll see me getting set up for a jousting run, and I come around the corner, there's an Atlas there, boom, 6 medium lasers in the back. I keep on running down, there's a catapult, boom, 6 medium lasers in the back. I turn around at a 45-degree angle and I come back across the transversal axis. Another shot, and I just keep sticking and moving back and forth, back and forth. I'm out of their fire arc. Well, if there was a player in the catapult, he could probably turn and face me, but in real battlefield situation, hopefully I would have friends helping me out on this. If not, I would definitely be utilizing a lot more cover than I am here. I'd be utilizing the hills and the little valleys and stuff like that in and out. But eventually, with a couple of passes, on my own, I can take out larger mechs. If I had other people working them over with missile cover and stuff, it would go even faster. And because I'm constantly moving, I'm not a sitting target. It helps with situational awareness. I can see what other enemies are out there. And basically, it's a lot harder to hit me when I'm at full tilt at 118 kilometers per hour than it is sitting still. So speed is life, and keep moving. Should take one more pass, and then I think I'll pop the back armor of an Atlas by myself. Yep, there it goes. See, jousting works. Next, we have the Guerrilla Specialist. This style of play doesn't require as much discipline and situational awareness as the other two because you simply take shots at targets of opportunity as they come within range of your weapons, or as they come into your field of fire, and then once you're done you move on, using as much cover as you can find to attack something else. You never focus on a single target long enough to actually become engaged in a pitched firefight. Never stay in one place for too long or you'll get pinned down, and it always pays to know the maps you are fighting on extremely well. That should go without saying on any tactic you use. Know your maps. You need to know what points are full of cover, what points you can snipe from, what points you need to worry about exposure when crossing, etc. And now by crossing I mean if you have to cross open ground. If you'll notice on this illustration, the enemy mech is in the center of the city, and you are behind the enemy mech. You start behind the enemy mech. You move to the left, you move up, you move back across. You're always moving and using the buildings as cover. You're never directly behind or in front of the enemy for any length of time. This is kind of like a guerrilla warfare tactic, hence the name. It's pretty self-explanatory. Stick and move. That's the basic philosophy for this. Here is some video footage of this tactic being used in a live combat drop. Alright, this is the guerrilla warfare tactic in use, and we are in River City on Upper City right now. I'm peeking my ass around the corners here just to see where the enemy is. Looks like there's some action going on over about 1 o'clock. Move around the buildings, stick and move, stick and move. Oh, there we go, we've got some enemies. And we will take a closer look by moving up a little bit. Looks like an Atlas is over there, a DDC. He's still too far away for me to get a pot shot
New
off.
target
Oh, there's something else, a
acquired.
stalker, I think. Yeah, oh, he knows where I'm at. So I back off, I fade away, and I use the building
Warning,
for cover.
incoming
Come
missile.
around. Oh, missile shield. Time to use the building. When you don't have AMS, use whatever tools you can, and looks like I get some spot target experience for helping call in a missile strike on that enemy. I got a couple of shots off at him, but he's aware of where I'm at, so I just keep moving. It looks like he's focused on someone else, because those missiles are not headed in my direction, so I will readjust once more, see if I can't get a little closer and snap off a shot. Yeah, they knew I was over here. I think there's a trench bucket over there and a stalker and something else. I'm going to change my approach vector and come in at a different angle. Continually sticking and moving, using the buildings for cover, and never stopping for too long. They got that stalker down by the riverbed. I am going to see if I can't snag this kill. He's pretty black in the CT. Don't try this at home, kids.
Fuel at 25%.
Not enough fuel to land on his head, but I didn't get the kill. However, I got some kill assist experience, which is always good, and I helped out my
Target
landscapers.
acquired.
Time to move up to their base. There's an Atlas up there.
New target
An Atlas and
acquired.
an awesome, so we'll just
Fuel
take a
at
shot
0%.
and we will keep on moving. We'll fade away down into the tunnel here. It looks like we drew someone's attention. I think it's a trench bucket. Readjust, and we will speed on past him,
New
taking a
target
shot.
acquired.
I don't think he's too concerned about me with all the other big boys in the area. Whoa, a lot of heavies, a lot of assaults. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Use the building to try and separate myself.
Target
Oh,
acquired.
trench bucket. See if I can't get a kill on him. He's going down into the tunnel, and I got one of my lance mates down there, so we'll tag team him. Do a little pig roast here on the trench bucket, and boom, gotcha. Time to cool off.
Engage.
I gotta get the hell out of here. Sounds like there's one big firefight happening up top there, so I will totally disengage, allow my mech to cool off a bit, and come in at a completely different approach vector. Just in
Target
case
acquired.
anyone tracked me while I was moving out of the area. And a stalker, and what
New
else is up
target
here?
acquired.
That awesome, there he is. Jump over this little pit here, continually
New
moving
target
quickly.
acquired.
An Atlas that's not moving. That's an opportunity, a target of opportunity. We will give him the circle of death. Oh, looks like we win, but you get the idea. That was the guerrilla warfare. Finally, we have the camper. The camper is a mech pilot who looks for targets of opportunity that are already engaged with other mechs or simply aren't paying attention. The sneaky little camper gets in behind the enemy mech and proceeds to unload everything they have into the enemy's center torso rear, or other areas of the enemy mech which may have already been badly damaged. If the enemy becomes aware of you, then you just pull up stakes and look for another camping site, or you switch to a different style of attack, for instance jousting. As you can see in the camping illustration, your enemy mech is in the center, same circle of radius around, red in the front, green in the back. You've got friendly mechs which he's focused on, and guess what? He's between two buildings and he can only go forward or reverse. You sit in behind him and you unload everything you have. Now, you do have to pay attention because, catapults, splat cats, and things like that have an extremely high range of torso twist. He could actually turn and fire at you, so you need to make sure that you always have at least one, possibly two routes out of there in case you get a double timeout. It's pretty self-explanatory. Here's some video footage of the camping tactic in use.
Target acquired. New target acquired.
Well, that pretty much covers this tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop by mechspecs.com. Register on our forums there, post in the general section. Either myself or someone else will get back to you and help you out best we can. Good luck in there and stay alive. Remember, don't panic. Light mechs are fun.